And now, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome our principal keynote and true expert in our industry, the former CLO of EY, a strategic advisor. Please welcome, put your hands together and welcome Brenda to the stage. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here, back in my homeland of Ireland and getting involved with this fabulous learning innovation community here. Today I'm going to talk about rethinking work and learning in the era of AI. And before I get into the topic, I want to show you how I imagined myself arriving here at the Aviva Stadium today.
I'm just arriving at the Learnovation conference, which is Ireland's premier global learning summit.
Now, I'm using this as an illustration of the power of AI that we have in our hands right now. I did that with VO3 on my iPhone in 5 minutes using that prompt. And it could be better, I could improve it, but that was my actual first try, and it didn't come out too bad, I think. So today, the outline of my talk, I'm going to set the context that we're living in, uncertain times, instability, shrinking workforce, business transformation, growing skill gaps, all of that as the backdrop for rethinking work, skills, and learning. And I like to quote Pope Francis before we get into anything. He said, "We are not in an era of change. We are in a change of era." So we're in, they call it the fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it, but everything is changing all at once. Let's start with uncertainty. The level of uncertainty has never been higher. It's way higher than it even was during COVID. And this is making business and companies way more cautious about what they're doing. They're not making decisions. They're laying people off. They're deferring planning because of the uncertainty. On top of that, we are being threatened by an interconnected set of crises, if you like, that are threatening humanity. Everything from climate change, war, societal polarization are threatening our very existence. And this is a fabulous diagram from the World Economic Forum that illustrates all of these interconnected things that are going on right now. The workforce is actually shrinking. The workforce is shrinking. Because fertility rates are in a free fall. The average birth rate in Ireland last year was 1.5. That's women are having 1.5 children over their lifetime. And the replacement rate, birth rate, is actually 2.1. So this is a trend across most of the world, including Asia, Europe. Africa is the exception to this, but even if you look out into 2050, the population is projected to decline even in Africa. Now, overall, the population of the world is growing, so because you might say, well, how do you square that? Well, that's because, as some of us heard yesterday, the aging population is growing. Apparently, there's over 1 million people over 65 in Ireland right now. So there's going to be a general shortage of human labor, and that actually makes it fairly good that we have AI to replace or augment the human labor that we're going to be short of. The next thing is that businesses are transforming themselves top to bottom using AI. The best article I've read about this in the past year comes from McKinsey. The name of the article is, if you want to look it up, Extracting Value from AI in the Banking Industry. And here's the real important piece, I think, of the title, Rewiring the Enterprise. This is not about adding things onto your business or doing some little things differently. This is completely rewiring your enterprise from how you engage with your customers, how you make decisions, the core technology and data you're using, and the operating model. And the smart companies are doing this in a thoughtful, planned, long-term vision way. One of the headlines, I think, last week was that 95% of AI projects are being scrapped. That's because they're not doing it this way. They're doing it in small little increments, and they're not taking a systemic view. Jobs are changing, of course they are, because as the businesses transform, we need less bank tellers, we need more data engineers, we need more cybersecurity experts, and this is another nice list from the World Economic Forum on where the jobs are increasing and where they're declining most rapidly. Regardless of whether jobs are staying the same or changing, the whole job, skill gaps are growing. 65% of employers say that skill gaps are the biggest barrier to the kind of business transformation that they want to do. And it's not just the technical skills that are needed to navigate the new world of work. It's the human-centric skills like creativity, problem solving, adaptability, communication that are becoming more and more important, as you can see on this chart. So with that as the backdrop, where do we start as HR and learning professionals? I would say we start by redesigning the work to align with the business transformation, but also so that the work can be shared between the human and the AI. You've probably heard the quote from Karim Lakhani, he's a Harvard professor. It's quoted a lot. He says, AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without it. So it's got to be a partnership, a co-piloting of this new world of work. The first thing I think we have to do, I'm going to give you like a little recipe here. The first thing is deconstruct the work into its component tasks. So take a job or a workflow, break it down, and then reallocate the pieces of that workflow to human by themselves, human with maybe a Gen AI assistant, robotic process automation, which isn't even AI, but it allows you to automate certain parts of a process. And we've been doing this for the last 10 years, I think. AI agents who can do the work by themselves, and then maybe some more, maybe other humans who are not doing that job right now. So that's what it's going to take to redesign, if you like, the work. Here's a great example from that same McKinsey article about the banking industry, where they show how, and of course you have to think about orchestration as well, but there's orchestration and execution of manual tasks that the human can do. Then there's some that are done human and AI together, co-piloting, and then some where the agents are off doing it themselves, like checking loan applications, for example, in this case. A great example of this on the ground is in a big healthcare system in the US called Providence. They have about 25,000 doctors, 35,000 nurses, 120,000 other employees. And they constructed the nursing role down to the task level, and they were able to redistribute 40% of those tasks to other employees who didn't need the nursing training to do them, like taking temperatures or checking on stable patients. They also were able to automate some of the tasks, like documentation. And the nurse role then was reconstructed so that the nurses were doing the higher value tasks in that workflow, taking care of patients, and the nurses became more productive and their work satisfaction also went up. Okay, Once we've deconstructed our work into the tasks and reconfigured and everything, we still have to think about the skills and how we're going to reskill and keep our workforce skilled. And my belief is that we have to become skills-based organizations. This is not an easy thing to do, but if you put skills at the center of your talent framework, you end up managing the whole talent life cycle with skills. Your hiring is based on skills. Your training is based on skills. Your promotions and deployment of employees to work is based on skills. Now, if you've been watching this trend, there's a bit of a backlash because people are finding it very difficult to do this. And I think people are just making it too complicated. If you just pare it back, there are just 3 things that you need to do, and AI can actually help us with these 3 things. First thing is, you've got to, and I keep saying use AI, because the systems can do this for us now. We don't have to spend 2 years making competency models and tables of levels of proficiency. AI can map the skills to the jobs and the tasks. AI can create a skills profile for every employee using the same skills that it's identified from its scan and inference of your jobs and analysis of the jobs in the company. And then we use AI to map those same skills to the learning content or the learning programs, the learning catalog that you have inside and even outside the company. Once you have those 3 things, then you can match the learning to the employee and you can match the employee to jobs. So you need these 3 pieces first. Once you have that, and I've taken screenshots here from one of the systems that does this with AI, Eightfold is the name of the system. Each learner or each employee will have a skills portfolio, so they can see their skills where they're high, low. They can navigate their own career and see what other roles are available and where they might have a skill gap. They can find exactly the learning that's going to close those gaps, all in the one system. And then the business can monitor the state of the skills, where there are gaps, where they might need to hire, where they might need to maybe add new learning content, etc. So if you become a skills-based organization, the business has the intelligence on the skills gap, and the employee has clarity and ultimately career mobility so that they can manage their own life and where they want to go. Okay, that's skills-based organization, but in general, just like the businesses are transforming and incorporating AI into how they operate, HR has to equally reinvent itself and integrate AI into the interface, the channels, the data, and push the systems down. It's not like we're going to get rid of our LMS or our human resource information system. It's going to be down the bottom, and it's all going to be bubbling up to the user, whether the user is an HR professional, a learning manager, or an employee. So the systems are going to become invisible. And this is an example from right now. Microsoft are doing this to manage their human resource department themselves. Instead of going into a system, you can pick questions to ask the system, like, how many employees are in my organization? Now, you'd be surprised how many companies don't know that information. But if the information, the data is there, how do we find it? We don't have to search through spreadsheets or even a dashboard. We just ask. Over here, you can also set up maybe an agent to do a pulse survey, and you can pick what you want the pulse survey to be about. But it's all being done in a very easy conversational interface. Learning similarly is becoming, the system is invisible and it's being integrated. We talk about the flow of work. This is another example from Microsoft using Viva Learning, their own learning system, but it's embedded in Teams. Everybody who's using Microsoft now, you're working in Teams all the time. But this allows you to click on a learning tab over there, and then you can see for yourself what skills you have, what's been assigned to you, and then you can see some recommended learning here. Obviously, future of AI and change management foundations would be critical ones in this example. You can also ask questions about the work and also query the learning itself. So I think this is going to be a great user experience for the learner if we can get here. And actually EY, since I left EY a year ago, they've moved to this as the LXP, if you like. Then learning can even get more personalized. This is an example from Udemy, which is a content provider. But if you are using Udemy, and you can integrate that too with your other learning systems, I can tell the system what I want to learn. Let's say I want to learn machine learning and I want to focus on PyTorch, and it will pull out for me a personalized path of learning, even pulling pieces of courses together for me. I can also go deeper and ask for smaller pieces of learning on specific topics. And I think somebody earlier mentioned the need for practice to really build expertise. So it's becoming easier and easier to develop authentic practice activities, even for the human skills like interpersonal skills. And this is just a screenshot of one of these systems where the learner is interacting with an AI-generated person on the other side and is able to practice and get feedback, and again even ask for more or ask for a different type of practice. I think I might be ahead of the game here, but I wanted to stop for a second and say, forgetting all about this, the bigger picture is, and the principle is, that we absolutely need to reskill and redeploy people rather than lay them off. And IKEA is a fantastic example of how they're doing this. They switched their call center to a bot they call Billy, and they had 8,500 call center employees who would have been laid off. But they created, in their business transformation, a whole new service for customers, which is a consultation on interior design. And they retrained those 8,500 call center reps to be interior design consultants and redeployed them. They added 1.3 billion in revenue in the first year that they rolled this out, which was 3.3% of their total revenue. And the success of this strategy has enabled them to align the AI-driven market shifts without reducing headcount. That's the bottom line. As we go into today's sessions and back into our learning innovation work after this day, I think there's a quote from one of the great innovators of the last century, William Boeing, that might be a good reminder of the mindset that we need to adopt. And he said, "I've tried to make the people around me feel as I do, that we are embarked as pioneers upon a new science and industry in which our problems are so new and unusual that it behooves no one to dismiss any novel idea with the statement, 'It can't be done.' So let's say it can be done, even the things we think are impossible today, and let's go with that mindset. Thank you very much.